George Herbert was a Welsh-born Anglican priest, English poet, and speaker. Born into an artistic and wealthy family, Herbert received a good education that led to his admission in 1609 as a student at the Trinity College in Cambridge. Herbert excelled in languages, rhetoric, and music. He went to the university with the intention of becoming a priest, but eventually he became the university's public orator and attracted the attention of King James I. In 1624, he served in Parliament. After the death of King James, Herbert's interest in ordained ministry was renewed. Never a healthy man, he died of consumption at the early age of 39. Throughout his life, he wrote religious poems characterized by a precision of language, metrical versatility, and an ingenious use of imagery or conceits. One example of his many great poems is Easter Wings. Lord, who creates man in wealth and store, though foolishly he lost the same, decaying more and more, till he became most poor. With thee, O let me rise, as larks, harmoniously, and sing this day thy victories. Then shall the fall further the flight in me. My tender age in sorrow did begin, and still with sickness and shame. Thou didst so punish sin, that I became most thin. With thee let me combine, and feel thy victory. For if I imp my wing on thine, affliction shall advance the flight within me. Here is a revision on how I interpreted Easter Wings. God, who created man in luxury and mass, ironically watched them foolishly lose it all, diminishing more and more until man became most poor. With you let us rise as birds, harmoniously, and sing your victories, then falling will extend the flight for me. My youth began in sorrow, and with sickness and shame you punished my sins until I became thin. With you let me join and celebrate your victories, because if I fix my wing on you, your affliction will strengthen the flight in me. In this poem, Herbert begins by alluding to the first sin of man. Herbert intends to start rising with God in contrast to Adam and Eve's falling from God. He wants to rise with God as two larks, or birds, as depicted in the shape of the two stanzas in the poem, while worshiping the victories of God. Another worthy poem worth analyzing is The Collar. I struck the board and cried, "No more, I will abroad." What, shall I ever sigh and pine? My lines and life are free, free as the road, loose as the wind, as large as store. Shall I be still in suit? Have I no harvest but a thorn, to let me blood and not restore what I have lost with cordial fruit? Sure there was wine before my sighs did dry it, there was corn before my tears did drown it. Is the year only lost to me? Have I no bays to crown it, no flowers, no garlands gay, all blasted, all wasted? Not so, my heart, but there is fruit, and thou hast hands. Recover all thy sigh-blown age on double pleasures. Leave thy cold dispute of what is fit and not. Forsake thy cage, thy rope of sands, which petty thoughts have made, and made to thee. Good cable to enforce and draw, and be thy law, while thou didst wink and wouldst not see. Away, take heed, I will abroad. Call in thy death's head there, tie up thy fears. He that forbears to suit and serve his need deserves his load. But as I raved, and grew more fierce and wild at every word, methought I heard one calling, "Child," and I replied, "My Lord." Here is my revision of The Caller. I slammed the table and yelled, "No more, I will embark." What, shall I sit here and decay? My paths in life are free, free as the roads, loose as the winds, as wide as can be. Will I stand here wasting my time? Am I able to do nothing but bleed out my life? Sure there was tasty wine before my sighing dried it. There was ripe corn before my crying drowned it. Is the year just lost to me? Do I have no happiness, no life of freedom? All gone, all wasted? Not true. There is still hope. I still have freedom. I will recover the time I spend complaining, and I will leave myself arguing of what I should and shouldn't do. I will abandon this cage and these rough binding ropes, made of my petty thoughts and the strong cable that defines me that I couldn't see. Watch me. I will leave. I'm not afraid. One who restrains to serve his need deserves more. But as I argued and became more angry and wild at every word, I heard a calling, "Child," and I replied, "My Lord." In The Caller, the speaker is angry at himself because he feels like he is missing out on life, and he wants to leave and experience it. He decides to leave his current state of ignoring his needs, and he almost leaves, but he is called back by a calling of "child," and he stops and responds with "my lord," hinting that he is faithful to this calling and will not embark after all. This shows that no matter how strong Herbert is tempted to do something, and no matter how strong he agrees on a decision, God will always override these actions, and Herbert will remain faithful to him instead.